Welcome to the Adventure Island podcast hosted by Ballyhass, a podcast where we dive into this week's outdoor news, look at why we should all be getting active outdoors, providing inspiration for outdoor adventures, travel destinations, fringe outdoor sports and local destinations and characters. This podcast is released every Friday following our newsletter on Thursday. Please sign up with the link below on all our podcast providers. Nice one, everyone. Welcome back to Ireland, the Adventure Island podcast, episode number 4. You're joining myself, Eoghan McCarthy, and Paul McKay, my co-host here, both working for Ballyhass Adventure Group, and back into a podcast a little bit about everything you can do outdoors, little tips, tricks, our inspiration, anything we can do to get you more active outdoors. That's what we're all about here. So how are you getting on this week, Paul?
Yeah, not too bad. All good now. It's the same routine every week, and every day really. But no, keeping well. Good now to come out to the weekends now and get a bit.
The weeks are flying, aren't they? I suppose we have a bit of a structure coming into this podcast, and the first thing we're going to talk about is the most recent announcements. I can't wait till the day we start one of these podcasts, and we don't have to talk about where we can go, how we can get there, and we can just go, you know. So that's my number one. That, like, I don't know, does the podcast actually almost really define these announcements a bit more for me or something? Maybe that's just me, but so I'm looking forward to that day.
Big build up, and it's waiting to get there, really, isn't it?
It's tough, isn't it? So we're going to talk about that. We've got a couple of articles that we're highlighting from Deirdre Mullins in the Journal, Owen Carey's commentary again, a little bit more on the staycations, how we then, because then we're going into adventure destinations and stuff, which is outside of the country. So prior to that, let's talk about the vaccine rollout, potential vaccines for the travel, how that may work, how it's working in current countries at the moment. And then last week we spoke about a kind of an adventure expedition segment. I had a few highlights in the newsletter this week, so I'll go over a few of them. And there's one guy that I love. He's a YouTuber, adventurer, filmmaker that I want to highlight. And then even to go into a little bit of plans that I might have for a mini adventure as well. So I don't know if I say it here though, I might actually have to do it. So let's get to that later on. And then you have some kind of local trips and stuff around the place that you want to discuss then as well. Maybe a local excursion expedition and a couple of local bloggers who recently took a trip as well. So all that's to come up, but we'll kick off. Did we know last week in the podcast? I can't quite remember that we're down into an extra 10 weeks. I think we did. The difference this week, I suppose, a week later, after that announcement came out, we essentially, the outdoors, rightly so, is looking a bit more promising. It looks like April 5th, that kind of time. Even Micheál Martin, I think, came out and said, yeah, I fully expect outdoor sports to be open and this kind of stuff, which is odd. Like everything in this pandemic, the commentary seems to be this way one week, this way the next week. It's hard to pin it down, but I do think the overwhelming feeling is that outdoor sports will be back, eh?
Yeah, it's looking very promising. The fact that, you know, April 5th seems to be that date where, you know, they're very hoping that we'd move to, you know, level 4 and go down a level and relieve some of the restrictions. I really did enjoy kind of the importance that was said about getting young kids back active outdoors. So that was really, really promising. I thought that was really good to come out with. So there's a bit of an initiative. Getting people back outdoors is probably one of the number one foremost important thing for people's mental health, and especially for young kids now that, you know, might be missing their you know, soccer teams or their GAA teams or, you know, their clubs like Kayak or youth clubs. So it is really, really good. It's great news. Hopefully, we know in this pandemic things can change. So, but hopefully this is the marker. We get to April 5th and there'll be some relieving of restrictions.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, isn't it? it's good to see him going that way. I've been saying to people locally here, you get a good stretch of nice weather now, and that's going to put serious pressure on it. We saw last year in the March, April, in the first lockdown, and obviously that was very differently, but a nice spell of weather where people want to get out. They're going to go this time. I think, you know, there would be a right little rebellion if we're kept down and the weather gets better. But you're right with the kids in sport. It's almost common sense at this point, isn't it? And actually, I was telling you just before we came on about Boris Johnson. So I'm involved in a couple of centre operation threads in the UK through some of the outdoor learning organisations over there. And they were highlighting this one clip with Boris Johnson, and it was a local MP over there put a question to him. You're saying the schools are safe, and you're saying the outdoors are safe. So then why then is outdoor education still closed? And it was, I mean, that's a perfect common sense question to ask, is it not? And so Boris Johnson replied in Parliament, and he was like, yeah, I don't know why not. And he literally had to. And I mean, it wasn't like he was cornered or anything. It just hadn't come across his desk, you know. But he was there. Yeah, the outdoors is safe. The education and schools are safe, so outdoor education should be open. And this was the Prime Minister saying this, you know, and it's so right in my mind. It's going, well, if the schools are going to be back next week, we're not going to be open anyway for a month, but I would fully like to see school tours coming back into one of our centres in April. And I know there's a lot of people going, no, they need to be in classrooms and learning. No, and it's like, well, hold on here. No, they need to kind of spend time with their peers in a safe environment, safer even than the schools being outdoors. Yeah. So I really hope that we in the next 4 weeks, and again, I bet you we'll be starting the next podcast off next week about how schools went this week after a week back in schools. That will tell a lot. And I think I do understand. I actually probably agree with the Irish approach and how they keep putting it back to mobility, you know, and it is mobility. The more people are on the move, the more chances the virus is on the move, you know. So you just have to pick your battles and identify where these safe things are. Eh?
Yeah, and I think like you've really nailed it there. Like I think outdoor education is going to play such an important role in, you know, the return of kids going to school, because we will see kids, although they'll be happy to see their friends and, you know, get socializing again, we will see them probably a little bit, the morale will be a little bit down, you know, they're back into this, you know, unusual school day for them where, you know, it's all social distancing and they have the masks inside. You know, whereas, you know, if they get out to one of the outdoor education providers out for a day, whether it be a team challenges or learning kayaking or any of these things, that's going to just boost morale so much. And they're still learning a skill. And that's very, very, I think, important, you know, to be mentioning too, like that they are learning. But getting them outdoors, the fresh air, you know, now that the weather's coming back, you know, I think just teachers will find probably such a lift from that, that they'll find that lift that they need in their classrooms. I know even myself as non-practicing teacher, that I know if I had students, like I'd be bringing them to at the outdoors just to get them the morale boosted again, give them a good day out with each other, doing the team challenges, learning a new skill, and then getting back in the classroom when the morales are high so they can really engage with their learning, you know?
Yeah. Well, I guess time will tell now. I guess this week is going to be a big test, so we'll be keeping an eye on it. We're still ramping up for our school tour push, and the bookings are flying in, and that's great to see. But they're flying in with this unknown vibe. Is going, can you take a booking? Is that cool? I want to book. Can you take the booking? And we're going, yeah, of course we can. And of course the dates will fly. And this year, of all else, because we don't have March even, which we wouldn't have taken a whole pile anyway, I guess, or not as much as April, May, June. Those dates are just going to be flying out the gate. And what they're not going to be doing is traveling any long distances. So like if you're a local school, you really have to stay local in the environment as well, because we've talked, you got level 4 there. You're looking, so they are pods of 15. That is level 4 if we did happen to go to level 4, which might not be guaranteed. I have a feeling it could be a level 5 with an outdoor kind of exception, a level, you know, the way they kind of put in another level if they want to, or an exception into a level. I have a feeling it could be something like that, eh?
I think what they'll do is they'll promote the outdoors to get people outside, maybe relieve the 5-kilometer restriction, the pods of 15 for outdoor training, outdoor activities. And I know level 4 that restaurants and bars open outside. I can see maybe that's where they might, you know, take it out of level 4, such to say. But look, if the outdoors comes back, I think everyone will just be relieved with that, just to be able to go outside, go down to the mountains, go down to the beach, go down to the lake, go down to an outdoor activity provider. I think that's really, really what people want, and I think that will really, really help in the long run.
Oh, bring on the day the podcast doesn't start with one of those, eh?
Yeah, that's it.
But I guess that brings us ongoing. There's been plenty more commentary about what we've already been talking about in the limited series we've run, and the staycations and the issues, and now, of course, with the little glimmer of hope of the outdoors, the staycation boom is well and truly away. There's been a lot of commentary this week again, and like we've obviously talked about in the first couple of weeks. There was a good article there by Deirdre Mullins, wasn't it, gearing for holidays in summer 2021, that you highlighted?
Yeah, and it was a really positive article because it's kind of a bit of an ethnography that she sort of did. Like, you know, she's kind of contacting, you know, the hotels, B&Bs, providers in the West Coast mainly and the South, and, you know, just saying that July and August is nearly booked, nearly full. Like, people are just mad to get out. And the staycation thing, I think, was so successful last year that people are happy enough now to try and get away into the country, you know, July, August, get away week by the beaches, or a week, you know, out hill walking, etc. I think she's hit the nail on the head, really. Well, like, because we're talking, and even in this podcast, about how much we want to get out. So, you know, I think
she's talking, get your walking shoes on. So obviously going to be highlighting a lot of the walking trails. She's got a glamping in there, which will obviously be a fairly attractive option, of which, have we highlighted glamping yet? We probably haven't, have we? I know it's on the list to do. You were highlighting your cabins last week, the Caboo ones, which were really cool, which is probably the closest thing to glamping in one sense. And then she's got Ireland's hidden Heartlands, which is an interesting one. Campervanning. I looked into campervanning last year, which I really liked it. And last year it was bonkersly expensive. I think it was 2.5G for a week or something, you know. I know you had to go to Limerick to pick up the camper van, and you had crazy deposits, and it's just not aimed at Irish people there, I don't think. But I do like the idea of putting the stand-up paddleboard in the back and heading off, you know. But it's interesting. And they have self-catering. She has self-catering, fresh air on your doorstep. All fresh air, all outdoors, all pretty much are what we've said the trends is going in. What do you know about Ireland's hidden Heartlands? Cavan's obviously in hidden Heartlands, isn't it? It's not
yes, a part of it, yeah. So like, Ireland's hidden Heartlands was introduced, I'm going to say on a whim, I'm not 100% sure, maybe 5-6 years ago. Could be longer, could be a little bit shorter.
I think it's probably shorter. I think it's the relatively new one out of the bunch, I guess.
But it was kind of brought in, basically. We had two main pillars of Ireland. It was Ireland's Ancient East and Wild Atlantic Way. So you just had East Coast, West Coast, and, you know, the two of them would meet down south. But I think a lot of the Midlands was getting lost in the translation of both kind of Wild Atlantic Way and Ireland's Ancient East. So they kind of created this Ireland's hidden Heartlands, which is basically, really, if you ever look at a map of it on Failte Ireland, it's basically the River Shannon, and it's just all the way coming down right to Limerick, and that's what creates the map of it, and kind of what's around the River Shannon. So yeah, there's parts of Cavan in it. There's the Cavan Burn, which it kind of is where the area of Quilca is, where the Shannon starts, and then it kind of goes through kind of the Midland counties like Westmeath, Offaly, Laois, and all the way down, kind of ends around Athlone direction, just at the bottom of Westmeath, kind of bordering into, you know, basically where Limerick, where the Shannon stops. So that's kind of where it was, like where it was, you know, where it was created, really, you know.
It's an I guess I'm just asking because I would obviously, yeah. So we're like, I've been in here, as LinkedIn remind me, 10 years this year, so pitching a tourism business in North Cork. And I freely said, I love the Wild Atlantic Way. I think it was just a genius marketing plan. And obviously, like the signage route and the improvement to the area and everything it brings, it was just such when you look back at it, a common sense kind of thing to promote from a tourism is you go to the Wild Atlantic Way. And why wouldn't you? And even all these articles that we're seeing, like from what's her name, Deirdre Mullins, obviously we're going to the West Coast. Leo Varadkar is booking his holidays on the West Coast. Everyone's going to the West Coast, So I always felt a little hard done by in one sense, especially when we were starting off going, we go into tourism meetings, go, how is the Wild Atlantic Way benefiting you? And I'm like, it's not, you know what I mean? And I put my hands up and I'd go, an amazing initiative. Like hats off, you know what I mean? You went all in, you went for it, and it's drawing the crowds, but you're flying them into Dublin, and then you're getting them on the very West Coast. So you're telling them to go to Dublin, ignore everything in a 3-hour trip over, and get yourself onto the Wild Atlantic Way. How could that possibly be helping us?
Yeah, and I agree. And I think a lot of the confusion comes by because I've seen a lot of maps of the Wild Atlantic Way, when people kind of look up how to do it. And you have the sort of the territory area map, and then you have the road map. And I think the road map is what really gets marketed, see the West Coast, whereas the Wild Atlantic Way is like a lot of, West Ireland and even in the inland. So even if you looked up like, Ballyhass Lakes where we work, like it's part of the Wild Atlantic Way on Failte Ireland's website. So it kind of gets lost with that roadmap, obviously, and the fantastic attractions that's on the West Coast. I think that's where the loss in translation sometimes comes by,
Yeah, and I mean, it definitely. What I found was great. Like, I mean, again, if I was in their shoes, I'd do the exact same thing. You know what I mean? But it's just harsh. You can't please everyone. You just can't do it. But like, I found there's a good, like here we have, and I don't think we mentioned them, but the Ballyhowras, famous for the mountain biking, but it's an entire region, and there's some fantastic initiatives coming out there. They even have, and actually what we might do is, I will, and I hadn't planned to, but what I just thought of here, if you're making plans, Ballyhour have this amazing video series highlighting all the hikes there, where it's really informed, done by some guys we work with, Bendigo Media, where they actually show, like the video highlights, it goes along the trail, but also highlights quite practical things of how to get there, where to park, that kind of stuff, done really well. So Ballyhowra is one region there, and it kind of covers the Cork Limerick border and the Ballyhowra mountain range, and it looks like it's really strong, helped us out a lot. And then the other one is Munster Vales, which is kind of a newer one that again kind of encompasses the Ballyhowra, so it's a little bit bigger, but plus Waterford and a few other areas there and that kind of stuff, like so those kind of more rural tourism initiatives kind of fill in. I don't know what you classify them as, but like again, I should have county council ran in a lot of senses, but like really good, really good. And I think it's just interesting. I guess my point about and why I brought it up initially is now that we have a big domestic market, like, so how are those tourism areas going to translate? Will all of a sudden every Irish person come next year when we're back to normal be going, you need to get to the hidden heartlands and you need to go to Ireland's ancient east because this is what you're interested in? Or, you know what I mean? So it's just a funny one of how that's going to translate. Like, they were obviously designed for inbound tourism, so how do those relate to domestic markets when I know that, like, I know my feelings on it from a tourism business and from where my location is in North Cork as well for the last 10 years. So I've always felt I've fallen between them. So I don't know how much I'd back them if I was a consumer. Does that make sense? Or I'm just intrigued to see how it's going to come out at the end of this staycation season.
Yeah, like COVID's changed the game, really, hasn't it? Like in terms of all these, like Ireland's Ancient East, Hidden Heartlands, Wild Atlantic Way, it's like the whole marketing has changed for these areas now. And like it's just amazing how, a lot of this was that it was so on inbound marketing. It was all about reacting to the over tourism that we had and, you know, trying to kind of spread it out. And now it's kind of a little bit outbound, you know, it's where we're like, look at Ireland's hidden heartlands. You need to come to this amazing. It's like it's completely flipped in its head, and everything now for Failte Ireland maybe is a bit outbound marketing. I could be wrong, but it just felt like it was inbound for so long that we're always getting the tourism, but now it's just gone to outbound completely, that it's just flipped the game, you know.
It's going to be interesting, isn't it? And then I guess on the back of it, we kind of segued there a little bit, but I think it's one we'll come back to in a later episode, middle of the summer, kind of going, how are people finding it? What are they finding good? What's the feedback like, you know? But again, a point we had raised, interestingly, Eoghan Carey came back and raised it also, and going, beware, Irish companies or Irish providers are going to try and recoup lost value. Be careful. And I like, of course, I've said it myself. So it's if travel writers of his esteem are saying the same thing, we know it's a cautionary tale out there, and I'm glad he's saying it. So obviously that worry needs to be verbalized and need to know, like, we are concerned about it, we are watching it. Let's make this a stepping stone season and not our ending season where our national population could think of nothing worse than go on a holiday in Ireland, like, you know.
Yeah, and it's the danger of this. In my opinion, I was having this actually debate with my parents, and you know, there is on the flip side, you know, of all the recouping the lost revenue that all these tourism, you know, companies have, or you know, accommodation have, and you know, I feel sorry for them in a way as well. Like, you know, maybe they'll have to pump up the prices to try and recover some of the losses they've had. Some of the bank, you know, some of the bank mortgage.
Well, actually, sorry, like, that's an interesting one, Paul, just to say, because that is one that Eoghan Carey said he is, like, there is additional operation cost. We know that. I mean, even just like, we've had to hire extra cleaning staff, just all the extra PPE that you're needed, or COVID, all the extra training that you need to do. Like, people like they're quite happy to forget about that. You know what I mean? But like, you know, every business must have gone through extra training, and that's not cheap, you know. Like, we have 100 staff in Ballyhass, and we have to go through all COVID training again this year on the back of last year again, and sit them down for 2 and 3 hours, and then do all our paperwork for Failte Ireland. And they're going to come and check, and we're going to put days aside for that, and we're going to get audited, same as we were last year, and make sure we're all on target. This all has massive knock-on effects. So absolutely. I suppose, and like, I mean, I suppose I'm always glass half full. So I'm like, oh, this is an amazing opportunity. But then the businessman in me starts coming in and goes, yeah, but be careful. Like, you have spent so much more to deliver the same product, let alone a better product, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's just finding the right balance, because if the Irish people, and communicating that balance, because I think if the Irish people feel that they are being taken advantage of because the staycations are too expensive, they will start feeling, you know, that it is a bit disingenuous, and that the staycation season could be killed after this year if things do become normal, because you don't want that either. You want tourism in Ireland, you know, people to even, like, wouldn't it be amazing to come to a stage where, you know, next year we've people not even thinking maybe of going to Spain. They've spent 2 summers in Ireland and they've gone, my God, we've had such a great time in the outdoors, that we're not even thinking of, you know, in some lovely resort in Spain for a week, that, you know, that we're thinking, wow, you know, want to get outdoors, you know, go up to Donegal and see, you know, climb Mount Errigal, you know, go onto the beaches over there. Like, wouldn't it be amazing if we have that competing, you know, with the foreign holiday? Obviously, we all want to be on a foreign holiday again, you know, but we'd like to see where people are considering, you know, this staycation thing as a forever thing, and not something that's just COVID related, you know.
100% agree. I'm conscious we're going to sound like a broken record here now as well, because we keep going back to it, but it's just that the topical newsworthy travel tourism stuff, I guess, coming in each week. But we'll keep an eye on it. But look, like, let's assume glass half full, we have the best tourism season, staycation season, and everyone is going, oh, what am I going to do next year? Will I stay or will I go? If you're going, Paul, where are you going to go? I know we highlighted in the newsletter this week, an adventure destination, and it was actually done because it was a really amazing tourism visit. It's 10 years old now, but it's the Iceland video.
Yeah.
It's on my bucket list, but you've been there. Tell me about it, because everything I see of Iceland just blows me away. I'm like, I just think it's the most amazing looking country. It has the most amazing looking scenery. Is it all it's cracked up to be, or am I just seeing postcard Iceland?
No, yeah, it is all it's cracked up to be. There's no doubt about it.
Damn it, I can't get there, Paul.
No, Iceland is incredible, and I urge anyone to go see it, because it's just the terrain alone. You know, when you arrive there, you nearly feel like you're in a bit of a different planet, because it's so unique to Iceland. You know, the type of that color and terrain, and the mountainous regions, you know, the fact that it sits on the fault line that gives it all those very high mountains, high waterfalls. You know, they have all the, what you call them, the lagoons, and the hot springs, and it just, it has everything. And that's what I always try to pitch to anyone with Iceland. It just has everything, and it's just an incredible place. Can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I'm just sharing that video in the background for the guys on YouTube there as well, because really interesting. I just think this is 10 years ago, and this could be a TikTok video.
Yeah.
It's basically just this really, really well filmed, funky kind of like good tune, and they're all just dancing in different scenery spots and in Reykjavik and out at all the waterfalls and that kind of stuff. So it literally could be straight out of a modern day TikTok 10 years later. But it just looks amazing. And in my mind, and again, I'm only assuming this as a dream destination for me, it is an outdoor enthusiast destination.
Yeah, absolutely. You do not, you don't go to Iceland to be indoors. You go to Iceland to be outdoors. There's no doubt. It's everything. Like the video that we're looking at here, is just, it describes everything about it. It's just all the scenery in the background, where it's waterfall, geysers, there you see a cycle track, ice. It's just, everything is there in it. One of the highlights, just very, very quickly, one of the highlights I did was we went to see an ice cave. So, and we were there, and it was just amazing. They bring you down the floors. It's in the museum building. They bring you all the way down the floors, and then literally it's this. I think it's a man-made ice cave. I never really found out, but it was something that they dug in the ground, and it was just
kind of like the ice hotels and this kind of stuff, or
kind of. But it's basically it's like a tunnel all the way down on the ground, and it's probably about 20-30 meters deep. And just obviously, what the museum is built on is ice. So they built it down and cleared out all the ice. So when you're in it, it's just a cave. Like, it's just incredible. Like,
isn't that just so foreign? I just, when you have countries with proper seasons, it just, like, I just don't understand it. You know what I mean? Like, you have consistent ice that you can build a museum in. I was throwing rocks in the small lake of ice there in Ballyhass this year, and I was amazed. And it was for like 12 hours of one day, and I must have been down there about 4 times to check it out. So you'd recommend Iceland anyway. Any particular, like, how did you do it? There is a ring road that goes around, right?
There is, yeah. So I think if you're doing Iceland, rent a car or rent a camper. Don't, like, you can do a basing out of Reykjavik, but I just don't think you'll get the full experience out of it. And it actually is a lot more expensive, because, excursion companies or expedition companies over there are very expensive. So I'd recommend renting a car. I did the south side of the ring. So the Iceland does do like a full ring around the island. I did a little bit of the south side of the ring, went to see Black Sand Beach, the town of Geyser. That there is a town called Geyser that's just full of geysers. So very good. But
Geyser or Geyser? Is it Geyser or Geyser?
Oh, it was a geyser, sorry.
I don't know. I was like, geezers, I had imagined, I don't know, some dodgy characters coming out of the woods at you.
I've been pronouncing it wrong all these years. So, but really recommend it. I think it's on the bucket list. Again, it goes back to what we were even talking about, this vaccine passport that maybe hopefully they bring in.
That's an interesting one. So, like, what have you been reading on the vaccine? If we're to, so I know, sorry everyone, our adventure destinations are going to be abroad at times, because I mean, there's definitely highlights on us as well, So, like, what do you think? What have you been reading on? Like, you've been to countries where you've needed vaccine passports before, haven't you? So this isn't a new concept.
No, to get some countries, so I know in South Africa is a very good example. Like, you have to declare to public health that you've had certain vaccines, and I know actually my girlfriend Aoife is the same. She went to Laos and had to have, you know, certain vaccines to get her visa. So it's not a new concept. You know, this isn't something that hasn't been done before. We're just seeing now in Europe, I think it's Denmark and Iceland are the first to start this vaccination what was it, COVID vaccine passport, basically.
Yeah.
And in Iceland now is one of the main ones there, saying if you've had the virus, if you've had an antibody cert to say you have the virus, or you have a vaccine, you do not have to quarantine when you enter the country. So I feel this is going to be something that will reboot the tourism in Europe if it gets the go ahead. There's lots of science that are saying that if the transmission is not reduced, is it more dangerous? So we'll see how it goes, you know, as the, you know, countries in Europe get vaccinated.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, it's just like, I mean, I'm fine about it, you know. I can't wait to get a vaccine. I can't wait for my family to get vaccinated and that kind of stuff. Just when it almost makes me tired thinking about it. When you're going traveling, though.
Like, I think, yeah, go ahead.
I've had them before. I've had them before when I've gone to South America. I think I was definitely had a few. Nothing seriously. I think it was maybe yellow fever or something. I can't remember even what it was, and I suppose it wasn't, but it was like, it wasn't too bad. But it was also a mission, you know. It's just an extra thing that you have to get done before you're going away, and an extra document that you have to have. And I guess why I'm kind of huffing and puffing is the scenarios around, like, what happens if you lose the document. I suppose we're in a, because I was thinking about, I had an old paper document that I was carrying about, you know. I'm sure you're just going to have it on your smartphone and you can dial it up.
I think we might be entering a world now that visa-free travel might be ending now, you know, where passport controls will be that little bit stronger in terms of, you know, when you go up to give your passport, they'll be looking for this document before you travel. So I think the whole even traveling element of the visa-free travel, you know, you just arrive in the country, you know, you get your 90 days stamp and then off you go. I think that element of that will start to change now. And again, as look at you probably know more than me, Eoghan, there, like, you know, in South America and Southeast Asia, that, you know, the vaccines are a requirement, especially if you're trying to get a visa there to work or anything like that. So I think it's something, it's not going to be a new concept, but it's something that a lot of people are not going to be aware of. And that's probably why they have a lot of reservations when they hear, you know, the vaccine passport. I can't go without my vaccine, which is, you know, very harsh when you first hear of it, you know.
It is. It's just seeming, it's a bit Big Brother-ish, isn't it, in one sense? But of course, it's safety based. But I come back to going, it's just that extra layer of exhausting. Get your documents out, get yourself in order. I wonder, is it the end of the last minute cheap getaways that you're just going, look, I have a free week here, I'm just going to head off skiing, or I'm going to head off. I've done it for wakeboarding quite a bit over the last 5 or 6 years, you know.
Is starting to be restricted, which is a bit sad, because we, like, especially in the last 10 years, I think travel has become so accessible. We're so lucky we live in an age where travel is so accessible in this generation.
But will that maybe it's the end of the generation, you know?
That's it.
It could be. Like, but saying that, then the flights at the moment are rock bottom prices, but you can't even get out. So why wouldn't they? But they're advertising rock bottom prices. So it's the weirdest. It's just such a weird time to be going, Jesus, if that was there and it was 20 quid over to Amsterdam, sure, like, I'll head over for the weekend. Why not? You know what I mean? But sure, when's that going to happen again? You'd hope maybe this time next year. You never know. Nick, this time next year we could be going on an adventure every week, Paul, and the podcast will be super easy.
It'll be definitely a road trip.
Yeah. So it's an interesting one. Iceland, though, that's just to go back on that one. I found it hard to get there just because we're seasonal, and obviously we got a big summer season. It's obviously so seasonal up there. And once, although you can do winter trips, so I just don't know. I must
Yeah.
get my head around that, I guess.
Like I went in October, the end of October, hit
Okay.
November, so it was a nice, really nice period to go because the hard snow doesn't really hit till December,
Okay.
so it's a little bit more accessible to get around.
Because I always heard August was the perfect month to go. Just it was super nice, but okay, cool.
Yeah.
Last week we mentioned a kind of a little expedition / adventurer section. I've done a little bit of research and that kind of stuff. You've kept it close to home. I'm going to go a little bit further afield. If you're subscribed to our newsletter, you would have seen that I highlighted an interesting YouTube series on a pro surfer. Lenny is his name. So I think he's Hawaiian bred and born, as a lot of these surfers are. And Hawaii's having one of these really big winters where there's just swell after swell after swell coming in. So the surfing, and if you follow one surfer content creator, you'll just start seeing them all come up, you know. So he's not my favorite. I've also highlighted Jamie O'Brien as a pro surfer. He's got just an unbelievable YouTube channel. He comes out with content every Monday and Thursday. And it's just super fun, you know. It's been a real break. I look forward to it every Monday just to switch on, and it's a 20-30 minute video on YouTube, and he just lives the most amazing life with this incredible house on the beach, and he lives off a break called Pipeline, which is a really famous one over there, that all the pro surfers are there. And he literally wakes up with a cup of coffee, goes out into his balcony, goes, oh yeah, sets are rolling in, runs down to this amazing garage where he has 50 surfboards, and he's like, oh, which board will I use today? And this is the vlog, you know. And it's just such a nice break, and he's just living such a cool life that I love it. Lenny, the guy I highlighted here in the newsletter, is probably on the other spectrum. Jamie O'Brien is a retired professional surfer, so he's still an unbelievable surfer. So he's a full-time YouTuber now, which and he has all his filmers and stuff, which makes the content really good. Lenny is at the height of his professionalism by the looks of it. And he really seems to be pushing the sport, you know. And it's just a really interesting guy to watch. So he's not quite an adventurer. I've got another guy for this, but I just wanted to highlight Lenny and the series because it's made by Red Bull. So again, it's super well done. I'm not mad on he's not as an entertaining character as Jamie O'Brien, but the footage is incredible. And actually, I have one lined up here that I'm going to start playing just in the background here again for the YouTube. And I will share, I'll put a link to it down below or in the podcast as well. So I'd highly recommend you checking this out. But he's definitely focused on big wave surfing and this kind of stuff as well. But like what he's doing on the big waves. So he's traveling all over the world, and this docu-series was filmed over maybe a year or so. And he's in and out to Nazaré in Portugal, whereas that's a huge wave that you would definitely have seen it because it looks like it's almost about to crash onto land with this lighthouse on top. But he's not only surfing them, you know. He does all this different thing. He does stand-up paddleboarding in some of them. He does foil surfing. For those that don't know, it's like this wing that comes down on the bottom, and it looks like you're literally flying over the wave. And then he's doing these incredible feats. Like he's doing full 360s on the thing. So these are things that we would do tied into our wakeboard on the wake park. And it's just like, I mean, that's big. But look at, like, again, we're just watching a video of him just catching this bar and he's standing up straight. But it's a mountain of water coming over him. It's, you know, and it's just incredible footage that you see of this guy again and again and again. And he makes it look so easy. But the risks are so high. Like what he's trying, if he gets caught down there, and that's why I'm showing Caught Inside by Monster Waves at Jaws as the title of the video. It's just bonkers, you know what I mean? They're wearing all the safety gear and inflatable vest and that kind of stuff. But it's just, look at that. It's, again, for people who are listening in, it's just him right in the depths of the wave and getting caught and falling. So I think that's the more incredible part about that is, like, I just can't even imagine putting myself in that position with a mountain of water about to crash down on you. And like, obviously he gets out of it most times. And it's, do you know, we shared Lecce Buffoni, who was the professional skateboarder, a couple of weeks ago. And I think they're it's kind of interesting to watch because these guys are living pretty decent lives now, you know what I mean? And the sponsorship is getting good. And these sports, are really being highlighted and getting exposure. And maybe that's thanks to YouTube. They've all, you know, the surfing, there's a big vlog contingent doing vlogs on a daily basis, vloggers around the surfing world. But it's really cool to watch. So that's my number one recommendation. It's called Life of Kai, is the actual series. It's 3 episodes. They're all about 20-30 minutes, so maybe an hour of watching. But it's kind of cool. It gives you a bit of an insight into the professional side of these adventure sports, I think, quite well. Like, he is super keen to win competitions, whereas the Jamie O'Brien guy that I'm talking about, he's just there to have a laugh, you know. But I guess it's just the professional side of adventure sports that's good to see. And there's some just like, I think it's the last clip of the final episode. It's just worth it. It's just this this major crash on actually, I should have had that clip up there. Actually was better, but it was just right at the last. They just got a major wipeout, and you see it's actually a jet ski that just gets completely annihilated. And you just, that the risk is just driven home right at the very end. So that's number one. Did you watch it all, Paul? No?
Yeah, I didn't watch all. I literally watched that clip that you sent or that you put on there. The
Life of Kai.
The Life of Kai. Yeah, watch this.
It's well worth the watch. It's really well worth the watch. Now, like that wasn't really what I wanted to do with the expedition side of things. This is more, as we discussed last year, which is more exploration. It's more, you know, we talked about what an expedition was. And for me, this guy, Beau Miles, Beau, would you pronounce that, Beau?
Yeah,
Beau Miles. He's an Australian. I'll just share his channel there as well. I love him. He's one of the most entertaining watches that you'll ever see. So I'm just going to share his YouTube channel here again. So you see it up there. He's got loads of different. So this guy, he's entertaining, because he is what I would consider an adventurer, but he's also a filmmaker, and he's also actually a lecturer in outdoor sports as well. I think it's outdoor sports. He's definitely a lecturer anyway. So he definitely is a storyteller. And it's amazing. It really is amazing to check out. It's quite different. So his very early days, there's one here, which is Africa by Kayak. And I think if I bring that up,
I've actually seen that before. Actually,
have you? Yeah.
I've seen that before. Yeah, it's very, very good. It's amazing. You know, it's actually, there's an adrenaline watching it. Do you know what I mean?
It's cool. Like, I want to just, we're just going to I want to see, I think it's this one. We're just going to cut to a clip of him there now.
We hope it's not malaria. It's got everything, all the call signs of malaria, but hell, how you feel, man? Run down, bloody body's aching, sore throat. Still 55 kilometres from South Africa. We're still illegal, both of us. So he's going to have to do a dodgy through the border crossing. I'll be bloody sorry to leave him, because we're a pretty good team out in the water, you know?
That's a cool little clip that I just wanted to play. It's just to give him a sense of, like, I love that, like, yeah, we're still illegal, we're gonna pull a dodgy. That sounds more English than Australian, but like, he's very quirky, you know what I mean? And I don't know, like, if you've been to Australia, you will know that kind of quirky character. So maybe that's why I like him as well. That kind of brings me back to my Australian days. But that's so he's just one of these guys that so that's Africa. He was kayaking. Well, as it turns out, that clip was just he was kayaking with a partner, and then he obviously got malaria, or definitely malaria-like symptoms, and so he ended up trying or attempting to kayak around the southern tip of Africa on his own. Did he? I don't think he completed it. I don't think he completed it.
He did something serious. I can't remember what the miles were in the end, but
because it was 2,000 miles or something, was it? Yeah. Like, I'm pulling numbers out. It was really impressive, and it's just a great story, you know. And like half of that trip he was kayaking on his own, but yet he was coming on and he was able to really sell you on it, you know. And like that was a tough moment of that documentary, for instance, and yet you were really warm to the guy. He was just really interesting, really entertaining, really got that expedition wanderlust a bit stoked, you know. So like that's his early stuff, right? But now most recently, and actually this year, and it's a good time to follow him, because he's set himself a goal of producing one film every month in 2021. which is really interesting. I think it's in the run up to the release of his book, which I would definitely be picking up because I think it'll be really interesting. But it's a good one for lockdown, right? Because his adventures nowadays and his interpretation of an expedition or an adventure has changed quite a bit. And like, so he has done the big ones. He's done, you know, those ones where I'm going to kayak across Bass Strait was another one. So between Australia and Tasmania around Africa, he's done some big ones, but they've changed. And he's ran across the Australian Alps as well, which is another really good one, like, you know, where he's supported. And that was just super cool to do as well. And he comes up with these realizations as he goes, and he's able to eloquently describe them to the camera, which is, I think, is unusual in these trips. You know, it's often the trips doing the talking, but in this one he's doing it. But now, so basically where I'm getting to, he does a lot of mini adventures. So one that I really like was junk cabin, secretly building my wife a COVID office. So he does these things. So he's in lockdown, or was in lockdown like the rest of us when he was filming these, but yet he did a lot of stuff within his own backyard. So he ran a marathon. He ran a marathon around the block of his house, which is in rural Australia, was a mile long. So maybe he did, or it was 1.2 or whatever. In 24 hours, he could run it. So if he ran 24 times once an hour, which took him 20 minutes, and he did it, he'll run a marathon in 24 hours. But like for the other 40 minutes, he did this big to-do list. So he ran his 10-15 minutes and then was like, right, I'm going to fix my desk. I'm going to cut my hair. I'm going to mow the lawn. I'm going to get all this done, with an idea of having an adventure to see how much you could get done in any one time. And it's just really entertaining, you know. It's just like what a mad concept. Where did you get your concept of adventure and expedition? And to see that within your own kilometer, I think, is really fascinating. And that's kind of where his one a month is coming from. I think, you know, it won't be anything major, but it's just that junk cabin. So basically that one's an interesting one, because he's just building this cabin and he's kind of sneaking around the house with his little daughter, trying to hide from his wife while he's building. So he's really handy as well. So he does that kind of stuff, you know. My top tip this week is Beau Miles. Go follow him, watch some of his stuff, and I think you'll get into him. Like, you know, he gives it just a real, I don't know, it's just this outlook in life that is really cool.
Yeah, no, I think within the 5K, he might draw some inspiration for people now to be building COVID cabins and
well, I did. So like, I know I'm conscious I'm doing a lot of talking here now, so I'll let you in a second, Paul. So like, that's my adventure, and I'm definitely going to highlight a few others. I remember I said last week that I was going to bring on a book. This is the one, Grand Adventures. I'll actually save it for next week now, because I highlighted Beau, but like, I'm going to highlight this. This is Alistair Humphreys. It's a really cool book, and as I said, it's kind of, it's literally like there's just like, it's literally in it, there's just little paragraphs and loads of adventures that people have undertaken. I'm going to highlight a few more. We'll do that for the adventure segment next week, and go through more rather than just one. I'll highlight a few and the achievements of people. But what this guy is thinking, I'm talking with a buddy of mine, is like, we want to do our own little one maybe in the next couple of months, which is, you hear a lot about the source to sea of rivers. So like, myself and my buddy we've been talking about it for years, just shooting the shit basically over a cup of teas and a few beers. But like, he's definitely always wanted to do it, and I'm jumping on his bandwagon more than anything. But we want to see if we can navigate our way from the source of the Blackwater all the way down, which we think is 150 kilometers, something along those lines. And we like, I guess he was thinking always about kayaks, but now I'm gotten into the supping, the stand-up paddleboarding, and the inflatable ones, and they're super transportable. They're super manageable, for want of a better word, I guess. Now, but of course, what you lose in what you gain in ease of use or ease of transport, you don't get back on the water. Obviously, there's no sides protecting your gear, so you need dry bags and this kind of stuff. But the Blackwater in particular, it gets quite shallow in places, so there's a bit of portage to be done. So where you have to bring out your boat, your craft, whatever you're doing it in, whether it be a kayak or canoe, and bring it around. And there's definitely weirs and stuff along the way. But we reckon we can do it in like 4 days maybe, with a bit of camping out right on our yard, but like a proper mission, you know. That's, you know, I've set it out there now, so I'm going to have to definitely at least explore it, explore the idea of it.
You'll have the people,
We'll see, you know?
who are 4 podcasts in now going, oh, no, I remember you were on 4 podcasts. Said
I'm lost. I don't know. I'm somewhere on the other side of Mallow.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds class, man.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, that's my intro into it, maybe, you know, just something. But I guess, isn't this what the lockdowns do? It gets your imagination running, and that's what I hope for this podcast, is just to give that inspiration, to get you thinking. And like, just because, look, I'm 10 years in an adventure business now, so like, I mean, that's the level I've gotten to. I'm still not going to Antarctica or Arctica or doing a North Pole crossing or anything. I haven't even got there. But I'm looking what's around me. I'm looking what's feasible for me this year, what I think I can do, and what I think I want to do. And I think that's a big thing about this, is you have to want to do it. Like we talked about, is there a level of punishment or something that qualifies, that makes an expedition?
Yeah,
and they're at there, maybe not, but the want needs to be there for it. You know, you want
there's
to
a want
need to
and there's a
achieve something.
fear. I think there's a want and there's a fear. Like if there's a bit of a, I think that's a core value of an expedition, maybe, is the want to do it and the fear of doing it a little bit. Like no, not fear out of non-safety, but like a fear of what could happen on this trip, you know. And maybe that's it. Maybe there's
I think for Shane,
fair.
yeah, and for Shane, like he's lived on the Blackwater all his life, and he's always seen it, and he's with the Mallow Search and Rescue, and so I can see his want for it. I'm just tagging along for the ride, I guess. So, yeah, we'll see if we can make it happen. It'll be an interesting one here to highlight it anyway, you know.
Might have to follow you now on the kayak or the powerboat behind you.
Follow my expedition TikTok, Paul. I'll be dancing along the banks of Mallow and Fermoy along the way.
You'll no doubt get down, but you'll no doubt get to the end of it anyway after the 3 days.
Somehow. You just to finish up, you had a local kind of little expedition walkway.
Yeah, I watched a really good video. It was the Young Souls. I'm sure we'll link it down below the YouTube page and the podcast posts. But yeah, they did the Dahala Way, and the Dahala Way really wasn't something that even I knew about when I came down to Cork. It's probably like this bit of an unknown sort of track that's kind of been developed out of the Boggara Mountains, and I definitely think the Boggara Mountains are underrated. I'd never ever heard of them, and I know you might know them very well, being from Cork, Owen, but like
not at all.
That's it. Like I couldn't get over even the bit of beauty that the Boggara Mountains had, especially before the last lockdown 2.0. I did a bit of them there, some of the mountains around it, but no, the Dahala Way basically is a 66-kilometer kind of hike between the west side of North Cork and the east side of North Cork, so northwest, northeast. And Young Souls do a really, really good kind of vlog of it. Now they had really shit
Young
weather.
Souls or Tough Souls? Tough Souls?
Is it Tough Souls? Maybe
I think it could be talk about Tough Souls Adventure.
Oh, sorry. Maybe actually I got them.
Yeah, no, I know, because I had followed them when you brought them up. I think it's Tough Souls.
But they did a really good. It's the couple anyway that do the kind of the long hikes, and no, it's really, really good. It does kind of expose a lot of the beauty of North Cork, even though they kind of really got shit weather. But that was my kind of expedition kind of shout out. I thought what they did was really brought an unknown.
So is it a video?
It is a video, yes.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Okay, I'll be interested to watch that. And they did the full length of Dahala Way. How long did that take them?
The full length. So it took them, I think, 2.5 days, I think is what they did. But there's a really good scene at the end where her boots were kind of, the bottom pads were made of leather. So probably wasn't ideal, as she said. And you could see when she takes off her feet, her shoes, like just the redness in her feet, like, you know, they were like 2 strawberries. It was just like mad. Now it probably nearly put you off, but she did say now it was the leather in the bottom of the boots, but it shows it's probably quite a tough hike. But something on maybe my list, something I might plan to do. I'm still on the
Oh,
early.
you said it out, Paul. We're
I
committed.
know, I have to
We're
do it.
committed.
We're committed now. So
Yeah, we're gonna have to cover each other. Where like I cover Paul's shifts this week, whereas he's off to do Halloween. I'm fingers crossed. He might make it back. He might not.
It's content for the podcast. So yeah,
yeah. It's paid leave.
Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. I think that's it. Like I mean, we've been waffling on a lot there, but I like it. You know, I think we'll definitely highlight some more in the coming weeks, and they're definitely those backyard adventures are an interesting one. Backyard expeditions, whatever you might think. We've been approached by some people that we might start doing a few interviews as well. There's a couple of people in the pipeline, so we'll start scheduling that out. I don't think it'll be next week's podcast, but you never know. We're all at home looking for stuff. So again, if anyone's listening and they want to hear anything about a particular topic, or we want us to get into any of our experiences, just drop us a line. We will be sending out a survey this week, actually, based on the newsletter that we send out every Thursday. This podcast is filmed and recorded on a Friday, not always released on a Friday. It could be between Friday and Saturday each week by the time we get around to edit and upload. I'd imagine that's the case this week. But other than that, that's all the news from us this week. Next week we'll be back. Let's see how the schools are getting on. Let's see if we have any more dates of adventures, and maybe the ability to get outside of our 5 kilometers. That would be nice, eh?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to end it.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. We will see you next week.
Thanks, guys.